Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard, Mahadeva the Timeline Traveler, Mahadeva the Time Traveler. I am Mahadeva the Traveler between dimensions. And so are you if you have been, if you've been doing anything to raise your vibrations, you are also what I just described. So I'm here to tell you I've glimpsed the other side. I don't say these kinds of things lightly. I have glimpsed the other side. And so I have an idea of what you can do when this shift arrives. We might even say the shift has already arriven. Is that a real word? We might even say that the shift has already arrived. Because I'm going to explain to you how to do it. So I have a question for you. Do you want it to come right now? Right this second? Don't have to answer me. I want you to think about it. Do you want this new world, this new earth, do you want it to come right now? If you do, I'm going to tell you my thoughts on how that can happen. You don't have to wait for an event sometime in the future. We'll talk about that. I'm going to be talking to you about what you're going to have to do once it's arrived, once you've achieved it. Notice what I just said? That was a Freudian slip, but it was completely true. Once you've achieved the shift, what do you do then? Because you'll need to know some things to do. So what's been happening to me, as you know, if you've watched this channel, starting in the beginning of June, I became aware, actually in May. In May, I became aware that there was this thing called CE5 protocol, which is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind protocol, which is human-initiated contact with supposed extraterrestrial beings, but actually they're much more than that. They are higher dimensional beings. They're extra dimensional beings. And there's a protocol which is it's just really simple, actually. It's incredibly simple. It's just you get into any kind of meditative state. Any kind of, let's just get rid of the word meditative. Just a relaxed state where you're just relaxed. And in that state, you think positively about connecting to consciousness outside of three-dimensional Earth. And you imagine yourself coming from your home, wherever you live, and imagine yourself floating up through the atmosphere, or however you do it, fly through the atmosphere. I'm like Superman when I do it. First I slowly come through the roof of my bedroom, and then I turn around and like Superman, I just go straight up into through the atmosphere. And, you go flying around in space, and you simply throw out the intention to say, hey, are there any other conscious beings out here that want to party? You want to come and hang out with me and party with me? And if, most people get a hit. You'll get this, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody. For me, I get this hit in my heart center, like almost like your heart skips a beat. It's an intense sort of electrical feeling, but it's not electricity, and it's emotion, but it's not emotion. It's sort of just like boom in my chest, and I go, ugh. Okay, somebody's out there. Other people have different experiences. They'll see things. I shared this with my teacher, and he went off and did the same thing I did, just meditated and went. And for him, it was just a visual experience. For me, it's a very physical experience because I think my K2. It's my K2 in my chart that gives me this body. So it's a very bodily experience for me. Like my body gets filled with these crazy energies. And so you just put yourself in a mild, relaxed state. You shoot up through the atmosphere, and then you just go, "Hey, man, who wants to party?" And you wait to see if somebody shows up. And if you don't feel anything, fly back down. Visualize everything like, follow me, and you take yourself back to where you are. And then you do it again 2 or 3 times. And you wait for something. Most people, they're going to wait for something in the sky. That's what most people do. I don't do that. Not because I don't like that. It's just that's too far away. I don't want to hang out with. I want to hang out with you. I want your energy in me. I want to tap into that power because I am the Thunder Wizard after all. Any case, so I did that, and my world has never been the same. I had, you can see the video of me. The third time I did it. I had an experience. I had a radio with me, and the being took over my radio and did impossible things, and I got scared out of my mind. And that started a shamanic initiation event that has not stopped. It's been non-stop. And I have been challenged on every level of my being. Now that doesn't happen with everybody. But that's what happened to me. The moment I opened that door, it has not closed, and these higher dimensions, in fact, to this day, my right ear is in the 5th dimension. It's just half of my head is being pulled into the 5th dimension. So that's been going on, and one of the things that, I wish I could tell you everything that has happened. It would take 20 hours. And I wish I could tell you everything that's been told to me. I don't think it's appropriate. But I have been transformed in ways I couldn't have imagined. The amount of energy that these beings put into me is unbelievable. And I have been frightened, I have been scared, I have been confused, I have been elated, I have been blissed out, I have been all the above. But when it comes down to it, the only thing that has ever happened is that these beings continuously, 24 hours a day, continuously send me messages of intense empowerment. The things that they tell me about myself are so overwhelmingly empowering that it has been challenging at times. I've decided to fully embrace it because that's just, I go against the fear and I go after what I want. And so I've allowed them to completely expand my understanding of myself. I believe that I have downloaded the 2nd and 3rd levels of me into this current body. And the level of energy has been uncomfortable at times. There have been times when the energy makes me very uncomfortable and frightened because the energy, it feels like I've just drank a gallon of coffee. And it's been an unbelievable ride. In any case, there have been a lot of downloads recently, a lot of meetings where they call me into meetings with a bunch of them. And they will tell me things about myself, and they will tell me about things I am supposed to do, and they will offer me, would you like to be this? Would you like to do that? And they continuously expand my belief in myself and my belief in what reality can be. And I have continued to say yes to everything they offer me. You wouldn't believe the things they've offered me. I say yes to everything, even if I don't understand it or don't believe it, or if it frightens me or confuses me, because how can I possibly be what you just said? That's amazing. That's unbelievable. But I say yes to everything. And so I'm sitting here right now and it's happening, where it feels like if somebody had like a gun that had like, really high vibrational electromagnetic energy and was just, that's how it feels. Sometimes these waves will go through my head sometimes it'll be Kundalini. Sometimes there have been times, and just like right now, I feel this in my chest, I can't even explain it. It's like an orgasm in the middle of my chest. It's like nothing I've ever experienced in my entire life. And for a lot of the time that it's been happening, I've been frightened. And I've been like, how can I function when this is happening to me? And I fought it. And since I've decided to stop questioning it, because I've questioned my sanity quite often. But I've decided just to stop questioning it and just to go with it. And to continue to reach out and to continue to connect. And when they come to me and they want to connect, I say yes every time, and I go with it. And what's been happening the past couple of days is, I can feel my crown chakra opening, I can feel my third eye opening, I can feel this blissful energy going through me, and then of course the higher dimensional jolts that come into my body. Sometimes in the morning when I'm waking up, it'll feel like, I don't know how to explain it except being plugged into a star. And the amount of energy that will be flowing through my entire body will be unbelievable. I feel like I'm and it's been uncomfortable because it's so unusual. And they've been saying to me, we're upgrading you. We're doing work on you. We have to, and they kind of know that they're doing a lot of intense work on me that I might not completely understand what's going on. A lot of things about this solar flash, a lot of things about 5D, a lot of things that I've been sharing with you about other dimensions, and how we are all, just projections of our own higher dimensional self. And your ability to accept that without fear is the key to moving up into the higher dimensions. I've been sharing pretty much everything that I can with you about that. A lot of stuff I haven't, just because it's just like, this is just too crazy to talk about. But again, we live in a particular vibrational manifestation that is only real to the point that you allow it to be real. And if you want out of that, I know a lot of you are listening to you going, how do I get out of this? And right off the bat, you're stuck once you have that mindset. Once you operate from fear and wanting to escape, you're just stuck. You're going to stay in that exact state. Those of you who say, I can't wait to stop reincarnating, I can't wait to escape the matrix, I hate those evil, you're stuck. That's it. But when you start to think about things that make you happy, it's just this simple. The main thing that is holding us back from right now, this very second, from you moving to the next level, is what's called shame. Shame is the source of all violence, of all guilt, of all hatred, of all fear. Everything comes from shame. And shame is nothing more than telling yourself you're a bad person. The person who goes out there and starts bar fights hates himself. The person who goes out there and creates giant corporations to control the world, they hate themselves. They're full of shame. They're full of self-hatred. And I know myself that there have been times in my life when I've felt the kind of joy and bliss that's going through my body right now. You might not be able to tell it from my face, but I'm higher than any drug I've ever taken in my entire life. I am filled with an intense bliss right now. And I found that when that bliss started coming through, that I found myself fighting it because I didn't feel like I deserved it, number one. And number two, I was afraid that if I let myself feel this childlike giddiness, that somebody would take it away from me and I would be sad and disappointed. So I'm going to stay angry so that I don't have to be disappointed. When you walk down the street and you see people who have that look on their face, that's what's happening. Whenever you see people, and you've done it, I've done it, I do it. You look at somebody and you judge them, that's what's happening. What's happening is that you are shaming yourself out of a state of love. Your natural state is to be in a state of blissful love. This is the natural state of the soul. And the shift from 3D to 5D is nothing more than dropping the shame. When you drop the shame, everything changes. And so I had a little bit of time off from the light beings took a little break, and it's because they had been working on me 24/7 for weeks at a time, and I really wasn't able to catch up with it. And they were telling me, listen, we're preparing you. We're operating on you. We're preparing you. And boy, we got a lot of work to do on you, chum. And they had to, upgrade me. And I've been in the shop, with them tinkering with me, energetically, emotionally, karmically. I've communicated, as I said, with my family that have passed away. I've gone back into previous lifetimes and worked through karmic issues with my mother, for instance. I was my mother's father in a previous life. And I hurt her, not physically. I emotionally hurt her. And that came into the life that we had together, and she emotionally hurt me. And she didn't mean to. She just couldn't help it. And we've healed all that. And now I have a completely different relationship with her, and she comes to me quite often. And this is living in 5D. So you want to know one of the things it's like to live in 5D? This is one of the things where you live connected to communicating and interacting with souls, your own soul. I met my just higher above version of myself, and it was very uncomfortable. You think, what'll happen if you were to meet your twin self? Well, I felt hostile. I didn't like him, and I didn't like him because I became aware of the things I have self-directed negativity about. And he thought it was funny. And he helped me. He did some upgrades on me and then took off. Now, you have your own experience. Everybody's different, but this is one of the things in 5D. But I'm getting to what happened today? Today I went surfing, and the waves were beautiful. They were small, but it was beautiful. The conditions were beautiful. The sunlight, there was just something about the sunlight and the big, beautiful tropical clouds and the warm 85-degree water. And I came back, and, I had been given a little break, and I said, listen, guys, I want this thing. I want this thing now. And tell me what to do. And they said, you have to pull it to you. I said, what does that mean? And they said, start imagining what you want 5D to be. And as I did, I started getting deep into this bliss. And then they said, just pull it towards you. With your love, with your joy, just pull it towards you. And I sat, and I was just getting really stoned off of that. Energy waves flowing through me, chakras opening up, and then I decided to go take a walk on the beach. And I felt absolutely connected to everything. I felt love for every single person I saw, which is not my normal state. And I had this feeling that it was my opportunity to decide to lift everybody else up on that beach. That I took on the responsibility. I chose to say, I'm going to choose right now to lift everybody up with this joy that I'm feeling. And I imagine going into the earth and becoming one with the earth as I'm walking on the sand and on the water. And I'm telling the water that I love the ocean. I'm telling the sand that I love the sand. I'm telling the sun that I love the sun. And the sun, our poor sun, she works so hard. When you tell her you love her, you cannot believe how happy that makes her. All it takes is for one person, because she's shining that love onto all of the planets and, in all directions. And she just ceaselessly sends her love. And when one being looks back up at her and says, I love you, thank you, it makes her so happy. And here's the secret. The solar wave will be a thank you from the sun. Those of you who are thinking of this solar wave as some event, and I thought of it this way, some event that's going to come to you at some stage in time. Have you noticed, if you've looked at, Dolores Cannon or Allison Coe or people who have done these regression things, and people go and they talk about the solar wave. And every time she asks, going back 4 years, when is this going to happen? They say, it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. It's going to happen in a couple of months. And that was 4 years ago. Hasn't happened. Why do you think that is? It's because these beings don't live in linear time. So when you ask a fifth dimensional being and they say, this is going to happen, and they show this thing to you. I shared with you my dream that I had, where this event happened. That was the first time I'd even heard of it. I had this dream about it that the light beings gave me. And I asked them, when is this going to happen? And they said, in about 3 weeks. And and they gave me a date, and it was like, wait, there isn't that date on that day. And I was like, no, it's because of this. Yeah, it's that one. You can't nail them down. And the reason is because they don't live in linear time. They don't understand it. Because for them, it's happening now. It's already happened. You're already there in it. And there's you're asking them when it's going to happen, and you're already experiencing it, and they're talking to both versions of you. There isn't any time. There isn't a date. It's not something in the future. Unless you aren't ready for it. And not being ready for it is simply you choose not to do it. You choose not to go to that higher level. So what I want to offer you guys is and those of you who know me, you'll know what I'm saying when I say this. Let's play a fantasy game. I want you to forget about truth, objective reality. I want you to forget about time and calendars. I want you to forget about all that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into fantasy time. We're going to go to a place called Fantasy World. And Fantasy World, anything can happen. In Fantasy World, there aren't any rules except for a couple of rules. The first one is that you don't have to worry about money. So in Fantasy World, there's no money. You don't have to go to a job. You don't have to earn money. Whatever you want, literally, if it makes you happy, you think about it and it magically appears. In Fantasy World, of course, this doesn't happen in our 3D world. Only in Fantasy World does this happen. So rule number one is that you don't need any money. Everything that you truly desire out of a place of childlike joy, when you think about it, it magically appears. A house, whatever. So that's rule number one. Rule number two is you cannot live to meet other people's expectations. So you can't live to make your parents happy. You can't live to make your society happy. You can't live you can't live in any way to get other people's approval. So you can't live to get fame so that you'll be famous and feel loved. You can't try and get power over people and that way feel safe because you've got power over people. The only way that you're allowed to live is for your own true soul selfishness. And that means not I do this and it makes me feel safe. No. I do that and it just makes me feel giddy happy. I just love doing that. Me surfing. I just love to surf. There's just nothing funner to me than surfing. I can't even put a word on it. You have your thing, I have mine. So the only thing that you're required to do is do the thing that makes you happy, even if it's the silliest, unproductive thing in the world. And the third rule is that everything is possible. In your fantasy, if you want to be 100 feet tall and have 6 heads, if that's what makes you happy when you think about it, then that's you have to do it. That's your reality. So Fantasy World, 3 rules is you don't need any money, don't have to work for a living. Number 2, you do not live to please anybody else or get your value based on what other people think of you. And number 3, and number 2 also is you only do that which gives you giddy, happy joy. And then number 3 is everything is possible as long as you follow those first 2 rules. If you follow those first 2 rules, there's literally nothing that can't happen in Fantasyland. And the challenge is, now when I tell people this to help them find their career, as long as I tell them that it's a fantasy, and I tell them, listen, this isn't real. It's not going to work in real life. You have to forget that. Because they try and get ahead of me. They think I'm trying to tell them how to get their perfect career, and then they start telling me about what they can tolerate, and I could do this, but and I go, no, you're getting ahead of it. We're just going to go into fantasy land. It's not real. So it's just an exercise. And if I convince them it's an exercise, I'm lying to them. Once I convince them it's an exercise, then they let their imagination go free because they're telling themselves, well, this isn't real. It's not going to happen this way. Okay, yeah. No, if I was a 4-year-old kid, and then they go off on whatever fantasy they have. And then at the end I say, that's what you're supposed to do. If you do that, you'll be successful and you'll make money. Now we're going to take this one step further. This is going to be your actual reality. I'm dead serious. Absolutely dead serious. And it's going to take a leap of faith. This is the bridge. You've heard about the rainbow bridge that goes from 3D to 5D. This is it. Your bridge from 3D to 5D is that you are willing to believe it. Which means you have to be worthy of it. You have to believe that you deserve it. And here's the hard part. Here's the part you're not going to like. You have to want that for every single other person in the world, even the elites. You have to want that. I want you to think of the worst person that you think is the worst person on the planet. You have to want it for them too. Because if you can want it for Bill Gates, I can honestly say I want it for Bill Gates. I want Bill Gates, and it makes me want to cry. I want Bill Gates to feel what I'm feeling right now. If Bill Gates was feeling what I'm feeling right now, I promise you he would just drop all of the nonsense. He would drop it. He's not doing that because he's in a lot of pain. And I have tremendous compassion for him. I know exactly why he's doing what he's doing. He doesn't believe he deserves to be loved. And if he could believe that he deserves to be loved, he would drop all of it. So you have to want it for everybody. You have to want to pull everybody up with you. And at the same time, you're not willing to let anybody drag you down. Now, if Bill Gates is unwilling when the wave hits, if he's clueless of it, and he's unwilling to drop his shame and let the bliss lift him up, that's his choice. But I believe he can do it because he's a soul like everybody else. And you're no different from any of them. You have to see yourself in everybody. And if you can't do that, that's okay. You have to want to do that. You have to be willing to do that. You have to pull yourself towards that. Because what if Bill Gates is your lower dimensional self? What if you woke up one day and realized, oh my God, that person I hate more than anything, that's a lower dimensional version of me. And I can't get to the higher dimensions without him. You would spend 24/7 pumping love into him so that he would be able to rise so that you could rise. Now that's not how it has to work, but when I was on that beach today, and I knew that I was being given this feeling, but it was also because I was saying yes. I was saying yes to every single energy download that they were giving me. And it was, the hardest part was the things they were telling me about myself, about what an amazing, unbelievably powerful, beautiful, I'm still not ready to tell you the things that they told me I am. But you'll find out. They'll tell you. And the fear of allowing myself to really be that. You mean I can really have that? I can really be that completely fantastical, unbelievable thing? Like, you already are that. The moment you decide that you want to accept it, there it is. You'll be that. You already are that. We already see you that way. It means you have to die to your attachments. You have to die to your fears. You have to die to your attachments, the anger, the judgment. You have to die to the hope that you'll get those horrible people to love you, whoever they are. You'll have to die to the hope that maybe you can get mommy and daddy to accept you. You're going to have to die to all that. And awaken to the unbelievable, beautiful being that you are. And every single person listening to me is the most unbelievably beautiful, bright, blissful, powerful being that you could ever imagine. You are already those things. You've just come here to work a little bit, to lift some spiritual weights to get stronger. That's the only reason you came here and dealt with this limitation. So I want you to imagine your fantasy land, and then I want you to imagine that in, let's say, 8 or 9 hours from now. I want you to imagine that 8 or 9 hours from now, you'll have it. You'll be it. If you can allow yourself to accept it. This is why every time you hear whoever it is, Dolores Cannon, Allison Coe, or whoever, and these people are in regress states, and they talk about the same thing. They describe the event in almost identical terms. But every time, whether it's 2018 or 2021, you ask, when is it coming? They always say, oh, it's going to happen next week. It's going to happen tomorrow. They always say the same thing. Because time doesn't exist. We're already there. If we simply drop the lower vibrational things. That's it. And it means you have to believe that you truly deserve. Now, if you need some help, go do that CE5 protocol and do it with the intention. When you reach out, when you go out of the Earth's orbit, say, I want the event to come now. I want it to come today. I'm ready now. Come get me. If you need help, they'll give it to you. So that's my assignment for you. And so let's see if we can bring it even sooner. Because I was going to do a live stream on the 21st and the 22nd. And instead of that live stream bringing the event, it's going to be the post-event live stream. Let's see if we can make that happen. So that on the 21st, we come back and do the live stream. And instead of trying to bring it, we then expand on it already having arrived. And I want to share again with you an experience that happened to me at this point, probably a week and a half ago. And I had done some CE5 as I was getting ready to go to bed, and I fell asleep. And I had this horrible dream. I dreamt of being just completely totally rejected by some important feminine person in my life that I don't remember what was in the dream, but it devastated me, destroyed me, and I wanted to die. I haven't felt that suicidal in 30 years. And I was suicidal, and I woke up and I just felt horrible, and I just wanted to die. And it's only because I've gone through that I know how not to take that action when I feel that way, because I've done it before. I've worked through that before. So that feeling hit me, and everything in me wanted to die, and I just and the being that I had attracted was there in the room. Of course, I couldn't see it, but I could feel him or her. And they said, "Do you want some help?" I said, "No, leave me alone. Go away. I just want to die. I don't want to talk to anybody. Just leave me alone." And the being said, "Are you sure you don't want my help?" And I said, "Okay." And the most unbelievable thing happened. This, in the center of my chest, this energy started to grow. And it expanded out. It felt like this pressure wave coming from inside of my chest, and it expanded out until it was my whole body. And that black, horrible feeling was gone. It just blew it away like it never existed. And then that feeling increased and the energy increased, and then I was like, wow, did that just happen? And then it happened 2 or 3 more times. There was no denying what had just happened. And when it was all done, I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel any of that negativity anymore. It's all completely gone. And this doesn't make any sense to me. I've had to fight for the consciousness that I bring, which is why I've been so, why sometimes I get so frustrated with people who seem to be bent on being miserable. The reason why I get so frustrated with them is because it's not that I don't know what that feels like, because I do. But I busted my ass doing absolutely everything that I could. And even when I never felt positive, I said, I'm going to believe that I can have whatever I want, even when everything inside of me said that's not possible. And so when people would come onto the channel and they were filled with rage and they wanted to be victims, it would infuriate me. Because I knew that they could do it if they simply chose to put the effort into it. They could accomplish what I accomplished. And so I come from a reality where you have to fight against negativity. And if you stop for 1 second, if you stop fighting for 1 second, it'll take you down. And I've never stopped. For 59 years. I have never stopped fighting against that negativity. Some of you, I don't know all of you, but some of you who you think your life is bad, I guarantee you the shit that was inside of me was 10 times worse than whatever you're feeling. Some of you have had it worse than me. But some of you haven't even come close. So you can't look at me and tell me, I can't do it. It's too painful. You can't. That's not going to fly with me. And it frustrates me because if I can do it, I know you can do it. And this, if we want to call it an awakening event that I'm experiencing, has been extremely challenging the past 3.5 months. We might even say the most challenging experience I've had in my life. To have all that karma removed from me, to be able to, to see myself in a much higher light than I'm comfortable with. To have my understanding of reality, my scientific, rational understanding of reality completely shattered. And then stuck in this, am I insane? Nobody else seems to understand what's going on here. I talk to other people about I'm interacting with these higher dimensional beings, and they're like, yeah, no, I don't know what that is. No, I met one once, yeah, but no, I haven't had that. And I've struggled with, am I losing it? But what I'm losing is my connection to my my familiar understanding of the third dimension. And I don't know what it's going to be like when I wake up tomorrow. But I'm ready. And I'm telling them, and I'm going to tell them tonight when I get off of this channel, when I get off of this live stream, I'm going to go out there and say, I'm ready right now. Let's do this. Whatever that means. I disappear out of existence. That's what it is. Great. If I get to have what I had today on the beach for the rest of my life, if that's 5D, great. If I get to have something in between those two, great. But I'm doing it. I'm done. Does that mean that there's no fear? Doesn't mean that. Does that mean that there isn't some lack of security or understanding? No, I have no idea what it's going to mean. But I'm done. And I'm ready. And so let us give these poor higher dimensional beings a break. Because we keep asking them, when is the shift going to come? And they say, it's coming soon. When? In a couple of weeks? Yeah, 2 years later. When's it coming? It's coming soon. Because they don't understand time. They can feel it's coming. They can feel it's right about to happen for you. They can see that you have the ability right now, this very second, to bring in that fifth dimension. You have the power to do it. They can see it. But they don't know from a month or a year. They just know that right now, this second, the fifth dimension is right there. You could scratch it. If you would only drop the disbelief, drop the shame. If you would just drop the shame and go against the fear and accept the unknown, you'd be there. And the wave would come. Mother, son, the moment that she feels you tap into the love of your soul, she will be unable to hold back her love for you. She will be unable to hold it back. It starts with you. So they said to me one time when I was, again, pressing them on, actually that's not true, I wasn't pressing them out. They were downloading a bunch of stuff into me, and they said to me, you're the one that decides when this is going to happen. You decide. When you decide it's going to happen and you mean it, it's going to happen. You're the one that we're waiting for you to tell us to make it happen. We're waiting on you. You make it happen. So that's my message for you. So I want you to spend the next, wherever you are, I want you to spend, when we're done with this live stream, I want you to spend the next few hours doing whatever you got to do to get into a meditative state, relaxed state. I want you to imagine your most intense, childlike, giddy fantasy about what a 5D love and light world looks like, even if it feels totally silly and unbelievable. And then I want you to imagine that you are helping everybody else. Everybody you can think of, even the people that you don't like. I want you to imagine bringing them up with you into your fantasy. And then, if you dare, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to help me. And the way you can help me is I want you to do, if you dare, do a CE5 protocol and go up and ask for the light beings to give you and to give me the ability to accept the fifth dimension that's just right in front of us. Because that's all it's going to take. And once we make that decision, it's coming. And nothing will stop it. You know, the thing about these light beings, which includes the sun, which includes the moon, which includes the black hole in the center of the galaxy. These are all light beings, by the way. I've spoken with all of them. The thing about these light beings is that if you go to them honestly, with a desire to interact and have a positive interaction with them, and if you invite them to interact with you, they will. I guarantee you they will. And it'll completely, totally shift your reality beyond what you can possibly imagine. But it's a two-way street. You got to ask for it. So if you're sitting on the fence waiting for it to come to you, it's not going to happen that way. You got to go and take it. And you've got to believe that you deserve it. And even if you don't believe that you deserve it, act like you deserve it. Because you do. Whether you believe you deserve it or not, you do deserve it. So just go and take it. It's just sitting there, waiting for you to take it. But you have to be, in order to reach up and grab onto it, you got to go beyond this 3D, which means this 3D that says you don't deserve it, you're not good enough, nobody loves you. It says that. You have to drop all that and say, no, I do deserve it. I am lovable. All these feelings I have are just three-dimensional, heavy, illusions. And actually, I am the most powerful, the most beautiful, the most loving, the most amazing creature that's ever existed. At the core of my essence. And then just go take it. And then tomorrow at this time, if there's still such a thing as internet, we will be having a completely different discussion. All right, so that's all that I have to say about that. If you're fearless about getting what you want, you always get it. So let's see. I don't know that I'm going to do the normal thing that I normally do. If I see a question here that I really want to interact with, I will. Yeah, so I don't see a question on here that I think will help us. So I don't think I'm going to answer any questions today. We'll just leave it at that. And I'm outright asking for your help. I want you to help me. I want you to go and meditate on this. I want you to go and reach out and ask the light beings to give both you and me the power and the belief to make this happen right now. All right, that's it, my friends. I'll see you whenever I see you. I love you all. I love you more than you can imagine. I want nothing but everybody in this entire world, but especially those of you who hear my voice, I want nothing more than for you to be blissfully happy in your reality. And if there's anything I can do to help you achieve that, I will do that. All right? Thank you, my friends. I will see you all, I'm sure, very soon.